Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a it wasn't highly requested. Someone asked me to do a girl talk, so that's what I'm doing today and I finally got around to it. So let's get into the video. I do just want to say before I start this video, I'm going to be talking about some mature topics, I guess, such as stuff like sex and that sort of thing. So I wouldn't say don't watch if you're like under a certain age, because it's you know, informative and that sort of thing, but just be aware if you're a little bit uncomfortable with that sort of thing. Okay, so as always I've got my trusty iPad as it has the list of topics and stuff that I've been asked to talk about. So the first thing I've been asked to talk about is relationships. So I'm going to talk about young relationships first. So I'd say young relationship is sort of 11 to like 14, 13. So at this point you may be getting into a relationship, you may not. It's perfectly okay, because relationships are a tricky, complicated thing, and especially at a young age there's a lot going on. So you're maturing, you're hitting puberty about that age, you're wanting to be in a relationship maybe or not. So I just say if you are around that age and you're wanting to get into your first relationship, or your first proper relationship I guess, just be very careful, make sure that you want to be in a relationship. Also things like red flags, if someone's really controlling of you, obviously like abusive, like if they're hitting you, or verbally abusive as well, or emotionally, that's things to look out for, especially when you're young. You don't want to be exposed to that sort of thing at that age or at any age, because it's not okay in a relationship. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, because at the end of the day you're young, you're still learning like who you're into, what you're attracted to, that sort of thing. So if you know, you have a relationship and it doesn't work, that's fine. Like, it's not a big deal, it happens. But that is just important about those red flags, because in a relationship it's supposed to be a good thing, and if that's happening, there's really something up and you should leave that if you're able to, obviously. And yeah, that's with toxic relationships. If you're constantly like mentally abusive to each other, so like saying horrible things, oh that's verbal, but like being sort of manipulative, if you get what I mean, that's definitely not something that should be in a relationship. It should be a trusting thing between two people. So again, if that's not happening, then that relationship shouldn't be happening, in my opinion. But you know, the next thing I've been asked to talk about is normal things that aren't normalised on social media. So the first thing, periods. The amount of times, I still do this now, you go into the toilet and then you're like sat there like trying to like unwrap the pad like really quietly. It's so bad. I've said this to a couple of my friends. I've been like, we're literally all girls, like we're all 16, 17 at this point. Majority of us are started puberty. We're on our periods, whatever, right? So I don't know what the awkward thing about just unwrapping a pad or whatever is, because it's normal. Like I don't get it. Like I don't know why I do it, even though I'm like, it's a normal thing. I guess it's just that embarrassment for some reason that, you know, sometimes, especially when we were younger and starting like periods and stuff, you'd get boys a lot of the time like make jokes about it or be horrible about it, but it's a normal thing. And I think from that point it's been sort of drilled in that it's sort of like an awkward, like taboo thing, when it's not. It's normal, and I just don't understand it, to be honest. Also, stretch marks, again, perfectly normal. If you ever fluctuate in weight, you're gonna get stretch marks. They're normal, they're beautiful. If you have them, good. Like, it's a normal thing. Like, don't be embarrassed about it or like self-conscious. I know it's easy to say that, but honestly, a lot of people have them and it doesn't make you like ugly or anything. Like, just don't feel like, you know, your body's not like perfect or whatever, because no one's is. Sorry, just iron brew break. Just, you know, it's easy to be self-conscious about things because you feel like you're the only person, but honestly, I recommend checking out like really body positivity, like blogs, YouTube, Instagrams, so you can love yourself, because that's the most important thing. And also, okay, guys, female masturbation, it is a thing. The amount of times I have sat in at like a lesson and boys have been like, ooh, okay. I mean, if I was monetized, this would get demonetized. They're like, oh, no nut November, I failed no nut November, I had a wank yesterday. No one asked. Like, they overshare about this, and it's not consensual because no one really wanted to know about that. But they, you know, they talk about it like it's a normal conversation topic, which, I mean, it is, but, you know, it's not really something you bring up, like, small talk wise. But you never hear a girl talk about it because it is a personal thing. Like, if you know, you don't have to do it, you can do it, there's nothing wrong with it, do you know what I mean? Like, no one's saying you have to like talk about it like a boy would, because that's just how they want to do it. If they want to talk about it, you know, no one's stopping them. But don't feel awkward about it, don't feel like it's wrong, because it's a normal thing, people do it. I recommend watching I Don't Know, I'm Has, I think that's her channel. I'll link the video I'm talking about there. She does a really good video about it, so if you want to watch that, it's really interesting. But yeah, that is the end of that topic. Okay, the next thing I got asked is one thing girls wished boys did more. I'd say, because this is a difficult one, because I guess everyone's really different, but I'd just say don't sort of, I don't know how much this applies to people, but if you've got like an interest or like something that, for example, is not seen as feminine, like for example gaming, I wish that they would respect that and like not try to like undermine you and like be sort of make sarky comments about it and like try and be like, oh, girl gamer, like, do you know what I mean? That's an example. But just sort of be a bit more respectful about things that people enjoy that you might think, oh, I don't know why a girl likes that. Another thing, one things boys assume about girls that isn't true. I guess there's a lot of trends about like slut shaming and body count, and I feel like that's something that really needs to stop because it makes people self-conscious about it. It's a bad like stigma around girls, especially when, you know, the same thing will be like normalised and idolised, that boys are players and whatever and that sort of thing. But then when girls are talked about in that sense, it's always, oh, she's a whore, that sort of thing. And I just don't understand why it's one rule for one rule for another when it's the same thing, just different gender, or different sex, I should say. But yeah, so I've already lightly touched about periods in the normal things that aren't normalised, but if you're younger and haven't started your period yet, don't worry about it. Everyone starts at different stages. Some people are 18 when they start, so if you haven't started yet, it's nothing to worry about. And also the first 2-ish years at least, it will be irregular. You know, you'll have one and you won't get one for 5 months. I know that happened to me and I was like, oh my god, I'm dying. You're fine. So don't stress about it if it's not regular. It's also not just to do with how long you've been on it for, but also things like stress, low iron levels. That's happened a couple of times to me where I've missed a couple of months because I've had low iron levels, all that stuff. can contribute to you not having one. So again, it's just nothing to worry about. It's a normal thing. Every girl does it. Actually, everyone with a uterus, I should say, does it, has it. And the last thing I got asked about, which I don't know how how much of an expert I am on this subject, but I got asked to talk about stuff like first times, or not first time. There's a first time, that sort of thing. So my very little knowledge on that, I will give a little bit of advice. So what to expect? First of all, it's different for everyone. You can't have a universal experience. Obviously, it depends on who you're with, that sort of thing. A lot of people experience bleeding, you know, after their first time. Some don't. Normal, like don't worry about it. That does happen sometimes. Also, things like losing your virginity is a social construct, okay? So for certain situations where you haven't felt comfortable in that sort of sexual relationship or whatever, you technically haven't lost your virginity because it's when you feel like you have. So, you know, that sort of thing is a thing to think about. Consent, important. Always ask for consent. If someone's drunk, no. Doesn't matter if they say yes, they're not in the right mindset to decide whether they are comfortable, because, you know, they might wake up in the morning and not have wanted to be in that situation. So always make sure that you're both sober, if that's going to happen. Make sure that you get consent and it's not a sure, it's a yes, okay? And also, if someone changes their mind about it, then you stop. You don't continue because they said yes earlier. I know I'm thinking about the teen consent video, which is honestly, I mean, it's factual, it's just I don't think it's the best video to watch. But yeah, if they say no later after saying yes before, that doesn't mean that they still want to. So stop whatever you're doing, okay? And also, like, you don't have to like rush into stuff, because if it's your first time, you're not gonna have a clue what you're doing most likely. So, you know, make sure that you communicate with your partner about this. Like, make sure you're doing stuff that you're comfortable with, not just what they're comfortable with, because, you know, you can't have that in a relationship or whatever. So yeah. So I hope there's been some somewhat good advice in this video. I'm not the most amazing person to ask about stuff like sex, because, you know, but I hope there was some things you've learned or you've not thought about before, and you just take some of this advice on and make sure you're safe with whatever you do, you're happy, you're comfortable, you consent, and that you are just aware with some of these things that are actually normal that you may feel awkward about. But yeah. So as I said, I hope this video was somewhat interesting and you enjoyed it. This is quite a mature video for me to post, but it's an important one that when I got asked to do, I thought this was a good thing. And as I said, I will link the videos I talked about in the eye, just so you can get a more informed sort of opinion on some topics, because I'm very limited in some of the things I talked about, but there are definitely some good videos out there which I've already discussed. So yeah, if you liked it, then make sure to like the video, comment any video suggestions, subscribe of course, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!